Hey guys. Okay, alright, you do it.
Hey guys, welcome back to Wheeling to Dream. I'm Heather,
And I'm Nate.
and we are coming at you with this week's video for the best free things to do in Philadelphia.
We spent one day there,
How was it?
and we didn't have the best weather either. It was a pretty crappy day. We just had to squeeze it in between going from New York to Washington, D.C. We had a few nights in this place called Lum's Pond, which was in Delaware. I think we had some things to take care of one day while we were there, which is why we got cut down to one full day in Philadelphia. Well, you can't go to Philadelphia and not go to Independence Hall.
Yeah,
That was the first stop that we made, and it's right there in the center of the city. Driving down into the city is pretty neat too. There's a lot of like old cobbled roads and stuff that you get to drive down through on the way out there, and surprisingly enough, I don't know if it's the time of year or what, but traffic wasn't really that bad.
Just seeing the original homes and that style of house was so neat.
Right, and we also, when we initially went into the city, we went across this huge bridge that went out over the water, and it was like a double layered bridge, so we had a lane up on top of us. That was pretty cool driving in. Independence Hall, it's the city puts on a free tour of Independence Hall, which is pretty awesome.
We were expecting to pay.
We were, so that was a nice little surprise for us. They have tons of buildings down there that they've kept preserved. They've restored and kept preserved over the last couple hundred years, and it's something to see for sure. You just go down to the visitor center in Philadelphia, and you set it up with them.
Yeah, so you have to go during your time, so keep that in mind. And they tell you to show up early, so you have to go through security and be checked. And then when your tour comes, then they call you in and they gather you in this neat little room, and they start with a story. So
Yeah.
the whole thing is actually story based, and I really liked the park ranger that we had.
Yep, it's a guided tour, by
It's a
the
guided
way. So
tour.
you have a ranger walking you through everything, the entire tour, and I think it's like 45 minutes long total.
So cool. So you have to see that. And then beyond that, it's not just Independence Hall. There's all these other buildings in there that you get to go and walk
Right.
through. So we'll show you some of those as well.
The room, one of the neat facts that stood out to me was the room where all the founding fathers gathered and signed the Constitution is, I believe the ranger was saying 90% of that room is the original room,
Yep.
to include the furniture and everything inside it. So they've preserved the room as it stood back then when they signed the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. They've preserved that to today. So it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty cool. It's like a textbook come alive. So.
Right. You come out of there and you can go into their old Senate building, and that's also a whole separate building. It's really neat to see.
One of my favorite rooms actually was the room where George Washington was sworn in for his second term. The walls are a beautiful green.
When you leave the tour area, you go out of security, and just across the street there's a building that has the old Liberty Bell in it. So you can walk into that building, you go through security again, and this is also free, by the way. You, as you make your way to the back of the building where they have the bell at, you kind of work your way through different like historical little things they have set up that tells you about different things that the bell.
Happened with the bell. It's all
right.
specific to the bell.
Yeah.
Different events that happened and people that were impacted by the bell.
Right. And the bell is really more about what it stands for, not so much its historical significance, because it was only actually hung for a very short amount of time, and then it had a crack and was defective, and they brought it down and replaced it. So anyway, it's more of like a cultural thing than it is an actual historical thing. Another area that's really cool to see is Just a few blocks away from those last two areas we just talked about there's like a little square that Benjamin Franklin lived not too far from and then kind of frequented through. He moved through in and out on his way to various jobs. He spent many years in Philadelphia, and he had a lot of different trades that he practiced in Philadelphia. And there's an area of the city they kind of have dedicated to him, and they have a museum for him as well, which we didn't go into this museum. The museums in Philadelphia aren't free. We did go to one museum, which we're going to get to later. So there was an old printing press in this kind of a square, more or less, that I think was owned and operated by Benjamin Franklin.
It was Benjamin Franklin's
And I believe,
brother?
don't quote me, but I believe that there was a home there that he lived in as well, which they still have like the foundations of the home preserved under the ground there. They have like this glass floor, you can kind of see it. It's pretty cool to see. And there's little panels and like plaques and stuff that kind of teach you about the history of that particular area. So anyway, it's worth a walk just a few blocks away to go see that too.
Yeah, it's just across the street from the courtyard from Independence Hall.
Right.
There's like a row of buildings, and it's behind that. So check that out. We had lunch before we did our tour because we have to eat before we have to feed the kids. So we wanted to get a traditional Philly cheesesteak sandwich. I'm assuming that's what we got, but it was mediocre at best.
Yeah, we went to a place called Oh Brother.
We actually asked the girl in the visitor center where we should
Oh,
go.
is that what it was?
And that's where she sent us.
Yeah, it
And
was.
It was not.
For being in Philadelphia,
like
it was a
it.
pretty mediocre Philly cheesesteak. So I don't know. Maybe we just kind of fell into one of those tourist trap things where you go a place and you get a particular kind of food, or you go to see something particular. I don't know. That's what it felt like for us. Anyhow, it was kind of pricey and it wasn't that great. The last thing we did in Philadelphia is we did go to a museum. We didn't go to any kind of a historical museum. We actually went to an art museum, the Magic Gardens.
Philadelphia Magic Garden.
And the prices were pretty fair. It was like $10 for adults and I think $5 for young kids, and then really young kids, 5 and under, were free. And then they have some discounts for senior students and military. So pretty cheap to get into, but it was a very eccentric museum.
Yeah, we liked it though.
It was different.
It was very different from anything that we've ever seen or been to, and it's actually quite fun for adults because you get to go through and see all the things that you never noticed when you're a child.
And it's fun for kids too.
It is fun
They
for
actually
kids.
have like a scavenger hunt type thing designed just for kids.
Yep.
Where they just put like 10 different pictures more or less on a paper, and the kids have to go around and find it. The whole museum is just, it's art.
all scrap.
Everything's art, and it's made out of scrap, and it's made out of tiles, glass, metal, wood, any kind of material you can think of. This guy has, this artist here, he's been doing it for like, what, 30 years or
He
something?
started in the 90s
Yeah.
with the one building, and it's just kind of grown from there. So
Yeah.
if you have a chance and art is your thing, you should check it out. Even if art's not your thing, you should check it out.
It's neat to see.
It's
Just
different.
have an open mind. That's pretty much it for our one day in Philadelphia. Thanks for stopping in. If you like this video or other videos of ours, make sure to subscribe.
Hit the like button and maybe
Yeah.
share with your friends.
Right.
We would appreciate it. See you next week.
See you later.
Today's campground review is coming to you from Lums Park Campground in Delaware. This is a beautiful park. It's gigantic. I actually don't know the acreage, but it's huge, and there's a pond in the middle of it. It's actually pretty big. It looks more like a lake. They have a day use area on the other side, and they have the campground on this side. Within the campground, they actually have yurts for rent, RV and tent sites. And the site that we're actually in site 3. We are on a 50 amp, we have water and sewer, and this sucker is huge. So there's nothing actually behind us, there's no more campsites. It's like an overflow parking lot over there, but as you can see, there's no cars, and there haven't been the whole time. This is like a mini campground just in our one site, all right? So it's huge. We have a picnic table, a fire ring. It's actually a really nice fire ring. And the pad is asphalt, and then it bumps up to a gravel pad that you can park your car in. We are paying $32 a night, and we did not have to have a park pass to get in like other places that we have stayed at. where you have to pay for your rental, and then you have to pay for a park pass. Like Michigan was one where you had to pay a park pass, and then there was a few other state parks. But nonetheless, this is a very affordable place. It is absolutely gorgeous. We really wish that we could be here for longer, but unfortunately the weekends it fills up. One of the perks of this particular campsite is actually how close we are in proximity to not only the shower house if we needed to use the shower house, but the playground over there as well, which is really fantastic. The way that we have the RV backed into this site, we can see the playground from our site. So Nate and I can actually sit in that RV and work if we wanted to. We can see out the front window to the park and see the kids. So that's how close we are to the park. And then these sites are fantastic. They're so big. You are not bumping up against your neighbors. And this particular site, like I said, it has all this extra space behind it. So if you come to Lum's Park Campground, try to get one of the odd number of sites and you'll be backed up to this area over here where there are no campers behind you. Lum's State Park Campground, they do have online booking. It was a little bit difficult to figure out, so maybe 3 out of 5 stars on that, but overall 5 out of 5 stars on this campground. The sites are huge, the price is fair, and we are in the middle of nature. And that's it for today.